Okay, we have here another sample game to illustrate many of the points of this endgame. It's played in 2007 and the player on the attack is rated 2465. So we'll see a lot of different subtle features, especially how difficult it can be to break down the final defense in the corner. White's in check, and those who are studying this endgame just know that can't be the right thing to do. One of the general rules is to move your pieces, as the defender, toward the center of the board whenever you have the chance. This is the right move because you're getting off the edge of the board. It's reasonably plausible to get off the edge of the board that way as well. It's a known position where black can go there or black can go there. So it's not a very confusing thing to throw at the attacker, but getting your king farther away from the edge of the board is a good thing. It's also plausible for the defender to try to set up a third rank defense at this point, but if that's what's going on, this is the wrong square because it abandons those two center squares in green. If you don't have the king on one of those two squares, a third rank defense is ultimately not supportable. So the right move here, if you're going for a third rank defense, is to go there. But we go there. And now the attacker would have several options. Just planting the queen on b5 is pretty good. But the attacker has some general rules too. One of them is if the rook is hanging, then go ahead and attack it with your king if you can. It can't give check now. That's usually a pretty good option. The defender sends it way over there. It was probably just as good to go ahead and drop it to b4, attack the queen, and settle in for a grim defense against the edge of the board. But this isn't bad either. But again, if you're studying, this just can't be the right move. Okay, he's taking away a central square as part of breaking down the third rank defense, but why not take them both? Now you can see why the third rank defense is insupportable. The whole idea, as we show in the third rank video, is that the rook always has one square left because the queen can only cover 4 squares and the king can only cover 3, and there's always one safe square to move to, in this case on the c file. But if the defending king isn't sitting on one of these two central squares, then the queen is actually able to control 5 squares on the c file. These 3 are controlled directly, and this one are unsafe because of the threat of forks from here and here. And that leaves only 3 squares here that the king needs to be able to deal with, and the king can park there, control all 3 squares, and the rook has to move off the c file. When the queen goes here, the third rank defense is unsupportable. But it goes here. Okay. Swings the rook to the other side. There was the threat of a fork coming from this square, so that can't be bad. Check. Reunite the pieces, reduces the risk of losing one. Check. Obviously interpose with the rook, move away from the corners and the edges whenever you can. Check here. As you might guess, white is getting into a very difficult and constricted position. Falling back with the rook is good. As usual, forming a rosette is the best thing to do, and now white is in a very difficult position. If you're a connoisseur of this ending, the best move is actually rook to b1, and this position can be easily broken down if you know what to do here. That's the Irva position right there. But instead, the defender profits by playing the wrong move and going way over here. And the attacker, that's not the right move. When the defending pieces are that far apart, what you want to do is hunt down the rook by giving checks this way. He'll always walk into a fork. There goes the rook. So again, that's just not the right move. So reunite the pieces. The attacker can form a rosette by returning the queen to b4. Maybe he figured that doing that is admitting he doesn't know what to do here. So instead, attacks the hanging rook. Can't be bad. Now the rook takes up the second row, the b file in this case. We get a check, we get a check, we get a check, and now we have the Erva position, except that the attacker is on the move. When you're following the former world champion's technique, this position has the defender on the move. Now it's surprising that this comes up fairly often with the attacker on the move in this very position. And a lot of attackers don't know the right move to break down this defense. So we go there, forming a pseudo-Philidor. Not the right thing to do, but it's difficult to know what to do. Remember when this showed up about 8 moves ago? Well, the attacker is still trying to figure out, what do I do? Okay, we're making progress. Now we've got an absolute 7th. So you can't stay close. You have to go to a distant defense. As you might guess, it works just fine to set up the diagonal position here, and the only good move for the defense is to go ahead and block the discovered check, and we've dealt with this in other videos. But instead we go there. That's actually not a bad move. It's just harder to figure out what to do. Good defense. A principle when you're breaking down corner defenses is that the queen generally does well on the long diagonal. If you don't know what else to do, plop the queen down on e5 and you're probably not going to go too far wrong. But okay, we give check there, move there, go there. Now what do? Well, let's just pull back and see what we can get out of this. So he walks out of the corner. King goes there, and we're back in this very same position. Remember when this happened about 10 moves ago? And the attacker still does not know what to do to break it down. b3, oops, that was actually a mistake. Now we're ending up in the Erva position with the defender on the move. This is easy to break down. The best defense is actually to send the rook way over there. It's not too hard to hunt down. The first check is from d4, and you're giving checks from the diagonal next to the diagonal that the rook stands on. So that gives you access to forking squares here and here. So it's going to be fairly straightforward to hunt down the rook, but you still have to do a little thinking. Instead, the defender went here, give check, walk back. That's the end of the ball game. Now let's back up to that tricky position and find out what you're supposed to do. Let's see. Here we go. All right, we're in the Erva position, but with the attacker to move. The right thing to do is move the queen so it's attacking the rook. The rook can't move on the b file because its own king is in the way. The king has only one safe move, a2. Otherwise, by attacking the rook, you've guaranteed king to a3 or b3 means the rook is immediately lost. And the rook can't go almost everywhere. It can't go to h1, it's directly attacked. It can't go to g1 because it's immediately lost to a fork. So if the rook goes to f1, well, you can hunt it down fairly efficiently. Whoop. Just give check there. A check from c4 will cost you the rook, so the king has to go into the corner, and then you approach with the queen, check there, and there's the fork. So that doesn't help much. If the rook backs into the corner, well, you check there, the king goes back, and there you are.